You already know what time it is. Welcome back into the NFL with AJL, episode 110. You guys could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here tapped in on the full show, and I appreciate y'all. Of course, before we get started, y'all make sure to check us out on all social media platforms. Smash the like button, rate the podcast wherever you're listening, share the show wherever you're listening as well. Subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the bell so you never miss our posts. You can hit the link down in the description as well for the link tree for every bit of social media and podcast content. And you guys already know this is your show too. Jump into the comments. Let us know your takes as we get the conversation rolling on episode 110. We have a great show for tonight. You already see the Facebook felon Jerm is here to join me. It is not his first time, will not be his last time, and it really hasn't been a long time since he's jumped in and talked some shit with us on the show. What's going on, man? Always good to have you in.
Man, know how to make a girl feel special, man. I appreciate you. I love doing this show. You're one of the smartest guys I know when it comes to this football stuff, so I can't wait to get into some good debate with you.
Thank you, bro. I don't know if I believe you about the smartest guy with the football stuff, but you know what? I'll take your word for it. It's fine. It was very, very nice of you to butter me up as we got into this. So right off the top here, Anthony Richardson was named the Colts QB2. You heard that correctly. He is now the backup quarterback in Indy, just 2 years after being drafted 4th overall as one of the rawest prospects we have ever seen, and none other than Danny Dimes. I guess you got to call him Danny Dollars after he got paid by New York. He is now the QB1 in Indy, and we saw this when Indianapolis signed Daniel Jones. It was really hot seat time for Anthony Richardson. So now the question has to come into play, Jerm. Is Anthony Richardson a bust yet? Is he already there? Take off.
So if you know me, I have a 3-year sample size before we crown or toss somebody out the window. And this is Anthony Richardson's 2nd year, right? So we have to be very careful.
Going into year 3, injured.
Going into year 3, right? So, but he's obviously not starting now. Daniel Jones can get hurt, but he's only played 2 years, and so I would I'm not going to use the word bust, but he's displaying characteristics of a bust, right? Moving on from Daniel Jones, but this situation is unique because if you're the coach, if you're Shane Steichen, you have to look at it like, I don't have time to sit here and develop somebody like Anthony Richardson, right? Like, my job is now, this isn't going the way I thought. You know, he's coming in from Philly. His job, you know, and a lot of that came from, hey, you develop Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts coming out needed to be a little bit more polished as a passer. He did all that. He turned Jalen Hurts to one of the most controversial quarterbacks in the NFL. But now he's in a position where, hey, we want you to do this with Anthony Richardson. And so then he realized, man, Anthony Richardson kind of sucks. And now he doesn't have that type of long-term planning. Like, there wasn't enough progression on top of Anthony Richardson being, I don't want to put injury prone on the kid, but he's had some injury issues. And on top of all of that, at this point, Adam, he hasn't really given us anything. Anthony Richardson, I'm saying.
Besides flashes? No, absolutely not. An occasional deep ball to Alec Pierce or a rushing touchdown? Like, no, what are we doing here?
And so I don't think, honestly, it was that complicated of a decision. Sometimes the best choice or the safe choice isn't the best choice. Daniel Jones was the safe option. Daniel Jones, there's some throws in there that I'm like, there's some plays he makes that I'm okay with. We know who he is. He's safe. And so Shane Steichen.
And we saw his peak with Dable. I mean, it's just what it is.
And listen, maybe Shane Steichen can tap into a little bit more. But
super fair.
Maybe. And I don't know. I'm not a big Daniel Jones guy. I get it. Yeah. But like, he looks the part. Again, there's some plays where he looks really, really good. But there's clearly a limit to him. But I would trust my ability, if I'm Shane Steichen, there's less to work on with Daniel Jones than there is to Anthony Richardson. And I'm coaching for my job. I'm just going to go, because it's not even just about Anthony Richardson or Shane Steichen. He has to think about Michael Pittman and Pierce and Tyler Warren and
absolutely.
Who's the Josh Downs. Like, he has to think about all the other players that the decision like that of riding. So yeah, Anthony Richardson, it's not going the way people thought. He was a guy who probably should have been sitting for 2 or 3 years anyway. So
agreed. With 13
I don't want to call
starts,
him a bust.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, with the limited starts, not playing a lot. And yeah, man,
Yeah,
there's no base, and he can throw it 60 yards down the field, and he'll make you forget that he'll miss the next 8 passes and finish the
e-
game
e-
10
e-
for 21. So
exactly.
yeah, I don't want to call him a bust. It just doesn't. I feel like it's like an incomplete grade. He needs to sit down somewhere, and maybe that needs to not happen in Indianapolis. But I don't know if I'd call him a bust based off that.
Yeah, you're being extremely nice because I think if Anthony Richardson is not a bust, he is damn near it, dangerously close to it because like this is a make or break stretch. He lost literally the week 1 job to Daniel Jones, which you like respect to Danny Dimes, right? But like we're talking about Anthony Richardson who was really wrongfully picked 4th overall. And Daniel Jones was wrongfully picked in the 1st round as well, right? Like we saw people crashing out on draft day. Who is this guy? But you look at, Anthony Richardson battling recurring injuries, and then the tape shows those flashes, like we said, but nothing consistent. Again, you'll throw a deep shot, but then you're coming up 45-50% completion. And you don't really see him possessing those must-have like polishments going into year 3 yet. And I mean, for Christ's sake, if he didn't even win the week 1 job over Daniel Jones, then what are we talking about here? And you're talking about Anthony Richardson just under 2,400 total passing yards in his career, 11 touchdowns, 13 picks, a tick under 51% completion, 67.8 passer rating, a brighter side of rushing, 635 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. That's in 15 games in his career. So like very impressive athletic production as we know, but extremely underwhelming production through the air versus what he does on the ground. And this just shows you like right out of the gate. And you made a good point. Shane Steichen is a quarterback whisperer. As soon as we saw Daniel Jones come in, we were like, wow, like they already view Anthony Richardson like this. So this is huge. Now we see this judgment, we see this depth chart, and it can change, right? If there's a catastrophe with Daniel Jones. But his availability, his development, it's just really a recipe for this type of topic. And you were talking about some of the talent, the Josh Downs, the Mo Alley Cox, the Jonathan Taylor. Now you've got a great rookie in Tyler Warren. He had the 3rd best O-line in 2023, per PFF. And then you look at 2024, it took a very good big dip down into the 20s. And that was with Quentin Nelson still being on the O-line. But talking about Shane Steichen, Jerm, like we have to take a look at him and hold him freaking accountable. Anthony Richardson started 13 games in college, was a bigger project than Trey Lance because Trey Lance actually had more time, more throws, little bit better production, really. I think extensively better production if you're really looking back at it. Anthony Richardson was literally the worst passer in college football out of 100 plus quarterbacks. Like I could have went and dug up the stat. I think it was like literally 136 out of 136, something abominable. I remember it was in the hundreds. And then this guy's drafted 4th overall, and he's asked to be a week 1 starter. Like we saw guys like Mahomes get drafted and sit behind Alex Smith. This is not a Mahomes, Anthony Richardson conversation. Your boy Josh Allen got drafted. Yep. Started a little rough, had to get his wheels, but he wasn't like immediately thrown to the fire. It didn't feel like, right?
Yeah,
Correct
he got
me if
hurt.
I'm wrong.
He started because Tyrod Taylor got hurt. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. But he was originally supposed to sit. And then Lamar obviously sat behind Flacco. Those guys came into the league, fairly raw out of college, and it started off a little rough before eventually being able to get their wheels. And it's like, if Shane Steichen took one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in the NFL and Jalen Hurts, not only when he came from college to the league, but then when he was able to turn him into that MVP caliber quarterback that he still is, you're like, okay, so he might be able to do this with AR, but it has been nothing but disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And I don't know if I'm wrong for going to the spectrum, Jerm, but when you look at Ryan Leaf, when you look at Jamarcus Russell, when you look at Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson is really teetering on that class. I'll tell you why. They're all drafted top 4. They were all expected to be the franchise quarterback. Poor performances and numbers, notably more touchdowns than scores, lower completion percentage. And besides Jamarcus Russell, injuries hampered them like crazy. And Anthony Richardson's injuries are the worst by far. You look at what's it called? And then next to Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson has a better supporting cast than all of them. I mean, Trey Lance was drafted to San Francisco, right? Like we knew the weapons that he was going to have. But when you look at what Anthony Richardson actually walked into the league with, Jonathan Taylor, you get Tyler Warren now to make an impression with him. You have Quentin Nelson, who's given up more penalties than sacks, or that crazy stat that Quentin Nelson has. Like we know he's one of the best O linemen in the game. And Anthony Richardson just has to stay on the field. He's got to become more accurate, stop turning the damn ball over, and he has to just look better on tape. Like it has to pop out pretty exponentially this year. And it's already exacerbated because he's lost the job to Daniel Jones. So we're going to be looking for that visible work ethic. No more tapping your helmet. Like, the organization needs to buy in on you, because Anthony Richardson is going to wrongfully get Shane Steichen fired. I don't know if that's really fair to say, because like Steichen still picked him, right?
Yeah.
And I think everybody was just drooling over him after the pro day. So it was just like, guys, did we not learn that pro day with running in shorts and like the combine holds more weight, but it's more like the interviews than it is the physicals, you know? I mean, we saw that really hamper Shedeur, whether how true or false that might be. But I mean, am I wrong, Jerm, for putting, after 2 years of Anthony Richardson's career, in the bucket of Jamarcus Russell, Trey Lance, really notably Ryan Leaf?
I mean, no, because I've famously on my show have given you the Andrew Luck, the greatest bust of all time speech, because I'm talking about it in terms of return on investment, right? Yeah. If you spend a 4th overall pick on a player and you've already replaced him within 2 years or within 3 years, then technically you did not get your return on investment. When you draft a quarterback in the top 5 or the first round in period, you're expecting a franchise quarterback. So if you're moving on from him within 3 years, a new coach has decided, the coach that picked you too. This wasn't a situation where
the coach that drafted you just made you QB2.
Right. It'd be different. It'd be different if it was a new coach and that got fired that picked you before. This was the coach that picked you. So yeah, in that sense, if I'm going to be consistent with my kind of line of thinking with that stuff, then yeah, you could fairly say he's a bust. And again, there's more to it than just his lack of production or his lack of growth as a quarterback. Well, it's Shane Steichen in a position that he's in a survival mode. Win now, because the Colts roster is pretty good. It's not a bad roster. Yeah. I'm not saying
I didn't even mention his defense is like the Colts defense has some dogs on there.
I wouldn't say it's a top 5 roster or anything like that. It's probably the middle of the pack. You could argue 8 to 12, 13, some middle, somewhere in the middle.
You got
of the road.
guys like DeForest Buckner, and when they had Julian Blackmon in the day, like they had some thumpers over there. They had a good defensive unit.
Steichen ain't trying to waste that. Daniel Jones is there to fill the space, and Shane, and maybe, again, like I said earlier, maybe Shane can fix him to an extent, make him a competent quarterback, and make him into something a little bit more consistent. I don't think this is like a late career Joe Flacco situation, but for the Colts, I think it's the best option for Shane Steichen until they figure out what they're going to do in the future.
Yeah, they're choosing, stability over potential, because I mean, we've all talked about it. Like, potential and talent's only good for one thing in the NFL, and it don't go in it, and if it don't go right, it's getting people fired.
Colts thought they were getting fired. Or I'm sorry, the Colts thought they were getting a Josh Allen, right?
They did.
Raw talent,
just and like Shanahan thought he was getting a Trey Lance or a Cam Newton.
Right. They were trying to catch the Josh Allen lightning in a bottle.
Or Josh Allen or Cam Newton, excuse me. Sorry.
Cam Newton, yeah. But that guy who needs a bit more polishing, but has these like godly athletic intangibles that you can't teach. And hey, I can teach him how to be accurate. I can teach him how to throw. And it just didn't work for Anthony Richardson. I don't know if that's the Colts organization or if that's Anthony Richardson. I don't know, but that seemed to be the plan for reaching for a guy like Anthony Richardson, because as you said, they went with the raw talent. The guy can throw 60 yards from his knees. Like, I get it. I understand the draft pick. I understand, hey, if we can get this guy,
you got to swing.
You swing. Yeah, you dribble and shoot in life, right? Sometimes you make it and sometimes you miss it. They just missed on this one.
Yeah, 100%. And, seeing the Saints just search for quarterback after quarterback, it's like, if Shough don't pan out this year and you have the number 1 next year, you take a quarterback. Right. If it's Garrett Nussmeier, if it's Lenora Sellers, I don't believe Arch is going to come out, but it's like you swing until you hit one. You don't play it safe. And yeah, I'm with you. I respect the execution of the draft day pick, but it's like you have to be more aware of the captain you're really bringing into your squad and just how raw he really was. So y'all get in the comments, let us know what you think of the Anthony Richardson debate. Is he a bust? Isn't he? I say he's dangerously close, and I'm going ahead and throwing him in with the Jamarcus Russells and Ryan Leafs of the world. We'd love to hear from you guys, though, on social and on YouTube. The final rookie quarterback preseason grades are in. Today, we will separate the hype from the starters, who passed training camp, who's a backup, and who is really already on thin ice and not passing training camp. Obviously, who is a starter. We'll have an official ranking coming up at the end of this segment as well. So, Jerm, what we'll do, we'll just kind of name the quarterback, your take and grade, my take and grade. We'll go down to the bottom, and then at the end, we'll rank our 6 that we have here. It's the same 6 that I had sent over to you. So we'll start with Shedeur. We finally got to see Shedeur Sanders in a second game of NFL preseason action, and it was hideous, but I want you to take off on it, man.
So here's the thing. I think Shedeur showed when he played with competency, right? Like you saw that in his last game, and that's what people are going to hang on to. But like basically the entire offensive line he played behind didn't make the team.
Right.
Like, to the point where, and I get the Shedeur Sanders fatigue, but again, it's hard to grade him when there was a clear lineation, which again, you see Kenny Pickett get traded and Sanders is named the third string quarterback. Like, they didn't give him and Gabriel. It'd be different if they gave them the exact same opportunities, but it seemed like they were already had an idea of what the order was going to be for them. But I think when he did play with starters, or at least main players that were going to make the team, he showed impressive accuracy and decision making, and he made some strong throws. And I think he managed the offense pretty well. I think everything we thought about him in college in terms of his pocket presence and his ability to extend plays, he showed he could do all of that. He just didn't get the opportunity to do that with quality starting players around him. And then again, shit hit the fan on that third preseason game, which we understand what the last game of the preseason means, but I don't think that third game seems to overshadow his entire preseason. I think that's unfair to him. I'm not saying he was perfect. I'm not saying he got a raw deal. I see a lot of people doing the "I told you so" on Shedeur. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, he did unfortunately not help his case, and if anything, I think his performance really, unfortunately, based on the just stories and rumors around him in the headlines, like that did not help his case, and if anything, he kind of proved those doubters right. I'm not going to look at it like that because, like, the guy is still a rookie. This is like, if there's a place to do this, it's in preseason, it's in camp, it's not before you're handed the week 1 job, which obviously we know Joe Flacco is in that position. But, Shedeur's struggling, and then people want to make a big case about him not being in for the 2-minute drive. He looked horrible. Yeah. He looked absolutely horrible leading up to that opportunity. So, you see his comments, I'm on the bike, I'm warming up, I'm ready. This is a 2-minute drive somebody dreams of. And then he figures out he's not going in, and he's like, okay. And then the Browns just look even stupider because Tyler Huntley comes in for the 2-minute drive, and then he's waived, he's cut. Yeah, so it's like it's not really lining up. Like, okay, what good was that 2-minute drive for Huntley? If anything, they should have given it to Shedeur or Gabriel. If I was Kevin Stefanski, I would say Gabriel, and I think I'm one of the only people on the planet that believes Dillon Gabriel can actually be a starting top 15 quarterback in this league, and I will stand on that until I'm proven wrong. But it's like Shedeur or Gabriel should have had that opportunity, and now we're going to give it to Tyler Huntley, and then we're going to cut him. It doesn't make sense. It's very weird, but you see him struggle. 3 of 6, 14 yards, 5 sacks taken, a couple of potential fumbles, and Shedeur played 2 games in the preseason and was the second most sacked quarterback of the preseason after being one of the most sacked quarterbacks in college football the last 2 years. Bad O-lines for sure, but I will admit, Shedeur does hold the ball some, and we see that with rookies. Like you got to have that internal clock. We talked about it plenty of times. You got to be able to let it go, and that'll, that's coachable. That'll kind of become an instinct for him as he gets through the league. But that's we see him pulling up short on. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I think the holding, if there's gonna be a criticism of a rookie quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, holding onto the ball to me is a normal thing. Like, that's something you can fix. Like, if it was something,
for sure,
if it was bad decision making on top of bad decisions or terrible throws or bad turnovers or something super egregious, I think holding on, because in college typically you have more time. So I think holding on to the ball is actually a positive, because if that's the criticism of Shedeur Sanders, that is easily fixed. So I agree with you. And yes, again, we talked about the offensive line, literally his offensive line in that last preseason game, all of them got cut. So it's hard to judge. So maybe he doesn't have an issue holding the ball too long. Like, maybe he just didn't have time. I don't know. But the offensive line in Colorado wasn't great either. So it's hard to judge it, but it was terrible. But there was times where I was watching and I said, man, he's trying to make something out of nothing, and I get it.
Yes,
he wants to make the team. But yeah, there
Yes.
was times he needed to get rid of the ball, but also with that asterisk of that O-line is terrible.
Yeah, it was just way too much backyard football, trying to do way
Yeah,
too much with really nothing, and like it looked really bad. If he would have went 3 of 8 with 4 of those being throwaways, like coach is probably okay with that, But you're
for sure.
taking 5 sacks in this game. I mean, he took a sack in the fourth quarter on 2nd and 12. He was dancing around multiple times, actually got out of the pressure, kind of went back in, back out, stepped up. I mean, it got pulled down by his arm. Like you just have to protect yourself better,
For
in
sure.
the NFL because like these guys ain't trying to hurt you, but they want to hit you.
Yeah.
Don't let them
Yeah.
fool you. Like it might be, oh, are you okay? Yes, sir, while you're on the ground, but like they wanted to pancake your ass. They wanted to get to the quarterback. Do not let those guys fool you. They are looking to like those quarterback hits matter. It starts to kind of ruffle the feathers a little bit. It's like you get later in the game, these guys are hitting the dirt more, and it's kind of like when you take punches in a fight. I'm gonna give him a C for the season though. One great game, one awful game. It kind of just washes out. If you get an A, if you get an F, you split the middle and you give him a C. So Cam Ward finally got some more preseason action. He didn't have a whole lot. He was 3 for 4, 36 yards, had a near touchdown pass, but he actually didn't get it in on the last snap. What do you feel about Cam Ward just overall this preseason, man? And if you have a grade for us too.
So I'm going to use this word, but I don't mean it negatively. Unspectacular. Now, I don't mean that negatively.
No,
I
agree.
think he was competent, but he wasn't super, like there wasn't anything that blew me away, which to me, for a rookie quarterback who is going to be your franchise guy, is a good thing. He made a bunch of safe throws. He avoided major mistakes. And it's what you want to see from your rookie QB starting from day one. And he's already proven he can do it multiple different ways, which I'm sure the Titans are going to tap into. I didn't see the arm talent that I saw at Miami. I don't know if that's by design, but I didn't see that
throws where he flashed it.
a
Really.
couple. There was a couple of that playmaking ability that made him so. There was like hints of it where it's like he gave me enough to let me know that it was still there. He was just consistently good. No super highs, no super lows, and to me, that's probably the best case scenario for a rookie. I'm going to go ahead and use the word franchise quarterback in his first preseason. I think competent but unspectacular is probably the best way to describe it. I'd give him a solid. Give him a solid B. I'd only just room because again, we didn't see some of that crazy Miami stuff we saw, but we didn't need to see it. He showed me enough to show me that he can run this offense. So a good solid B, I think is fair for Cam Ward.
Yeah, very well said. I'm gonna give him an A. I thought he played well in both opportunities. Really, all the opportunities that he got. Again, nothing spectacular. You would have liked to see him like really open the playbook more. When I was watching Cam Ward in preseason, it reminded me of how the Panthers played Bryce Young in the preseason a few years ago. Simple, boring. Why am I even doing a topic on this? But I have to because he's a #1 overall pick, and I want to see like how he looks in NFL action. But yeah, it just reminded me a lot of that. And it's like, Brian Callahan, the head coach, gets it. Like, if you don't want to put these guys in jeopardy, have them take 25 snaps and then like give it up. Who cares? Like you drafted him #1. He's going to be your starter week 1. Like there's no way around it. So the most controversial next to Shedeur Sanders, quarterback in this NFL draft class, Dillon Gabriel, I thought had a pretty solid game against the Rams in his final preseason outing, 12 of 19, 129 yards and a touchdown. What are your overall thoughts on Dillon Gabriel? And again, a great force.
I'll give him a C. I don't do pluses or minuses. I think he was okay. I think he struggled with his accuracy a bit. He had that one decent stretch right there, but most of the time I've watched him, he just seemed, even with Shedeur scrambling for his life, it just seemed Dillon was never fully comfortable in the pocket. Less so than others.
He definitely had to move around a lot. No
he
doubt.
moved around
but
a
I
lot,
thought
and
he controlled the pressure better and just kind of looked better within that system than
it just. It looked like he felt like. I know, but and it's the Browns too, so we don't know. But
yeah, preseason.
He showed me the potential where, like, me laughing at the Browns for selecting him in the 3rd round went away. Where I said, okay, he's not as bad as I thought he was, but he definitely showed that there's a learning curve for him. And then you get to the part where he's 5'10", he has a average to probably below average arm strength. I think he can get the ball out on time. Much to our off-camera JJ McCarthy conversation where I think if Dillon Gabriel can turn into a guy that can just get the ball out on time and play within the system, he'll be fine. I don't know if that's a Browns like if his ceiling is basically like Tua, right? Where if everything is right around him, he can make it happen. I think he's good enough to make it happen, but that's a lot of stuff that has to go right for Dillon Gabriel to be successful. And that's not saying that he can't be good. I'm just saying when we're talking about ranking him or putting him with these other guys, he needs the most help from his team around him, less than the other guys.
Yeah, especially with just the organization he's in and that offensive line. But I think when it comes down to like the quarterback talent of Dillon Gabriel, I'm just a fan, man. I mean, I hear a lot of people talk about his arm, but like when I watch tape, I don't see the weak arm. I don't see a noodle arm. I don't see a weak left-handed thrower like honestly Tua was coming out of college or really even coming into the league, you know? And I just watched a lot of Dillon Gabriel out of Oregon, and I get it, Oklahoma, like he really didn't make anybody better. And, you know, Oregon got smacked off the map by Ohio State after getting the first round bye and really going undefeated, or, you know, being close to it rather. And it's like, I don't know if you can necessarily hold him to that exactly, because I believe when Dillon Gabriel was asked to perform outside of that Ohio State game, you know, Ohio State just ran all over them. Like there was nobody on any part of Oregon was doing anything. But I think his mobility and really his throw on the runs are really smooth, really confident. He doesn't come off as scared out there. I think he's got a solid grip on the offense right now. And again, I know it's preseason. I know we're talking about the Cleveland Browns and we're talking about his offensive line, but I really think I'm the only one out there. You know, I posted a clip of it the other day. Like Dillon Gabriel has an opportunity to be that Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield type quarterback. Now, you weren't drafted early, but it takes you a minute to really find your system. You might bounce around some. Geno found a home in Seattle. I think he's going to be halfway decent in Las Vegas. And then obviously Baker just had one of the best seasons from a quarterback we've seen. You know, he's putting up Joe Burrow, Drew Brees type numbers. So I'm not saying Gabriel could be that type of guy, but the story and the journey to get to QB1 for God, I don't know, the Pittsburgh Steelers in 3 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be shocked if there was like a buy-in on him, because I just believe he's got the skill set to really make it happen, man. And, you know, every pass just felt sharp, accurate, very solid execution. And, you know, Dillon Gabriel's just showing me what I saw in college, bro. I mean, you want to talk about tape specifically, second quarter, 4.5 minutes to go. He breaks the pocket, rolls out, accelerates, then fires an absolute dart to the front left corner of the end zone. Jamari Thrash drop shit. But like, that's just Dillon Gabriel in a nutshell. Like, that's truly what he's capable of. And I mean, you know, he's placing throws well, layering them in coverage, downfield, just plays from a rookie that like you can't deny what he's putting on tape. I give him a B. His first outing was a little rough. He still was 12 of 19 in this game. But he even had a pump fake, kind of a hezzy on the touchdown pass in this one. And that's just veteran type stuff to me, man. Like, yeah, he was doing some of that in college too. But again, when you see this type of skill either jump or at least translate to the league, like, why are we sitting here talking shit about Dillon Gabriel if he was a solid college quarterback? Like, he was still a top 100 NFL pick. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyways, on to my guy, Tyler Shough, 12 of 20, 102 yards, not the starting quarterback. We'll talk about that later in the Who Dat corner. And then a rushing touchdown for the New Orleans Saints. What are your thoughts on Tyler Shough, man? Highest pick that the Saints ever took for a quarterback. Of course, he's QB2. Thoughts on the preseason and kind of your interesting grade that you gave us on the last one. I appreciated the way that you approached it there.
Yeah, I got to give your guy a D. And here the problem is you lose the starting job, like you said, highest drafted quarterback that the Saints have ever taken.
Besides Archie in like the 60s, yep.
Right, in modern history, I should say.
Yeah.
Then you have, and then to Spencer Rattler, who hasn't even won a game in the NFL. So again, you're looking at a guy that you obviously drafted Tyler where you drafted him because you were expecting him to be your starter. Right. And I saw that he had some issues with consistency, not anything that we didn't already know.
Nothing really popped off tape for him. Like, I thought he was solid, but like,
right. It wasn't
worthy.
Right. Do I trust this guy to be a starter? And listen,
right.
He might be great. He could be the greatest of. We don't just because these kids don't come out
Herbert
of the
came in and blew the doors off. I'm not saying he's going to be Herbert, but I get where you're going.
But Baker Mayfield jumped around to 4 or 5 teams as the number 1 pick, and now he's back to a top 10 quarter. Like, We expect these kids, and yes, there is some level of expectation for these kids to come out and just do these things, do these amazing things and carry franchises. Sometimes life is a journey. It's not a roadmap, right? Like there's different ways to reach the end. And I think Tyler may benefit. I wish there was a better veteran in New Orleans to help him out. The thing that's really working against him is that he's a 7-year college dude. He's 25 years old. So his clock is a little bit different than everybody else's. And
if you ain't coming out like Jaden Daniels as a 25-year-old on your rookie year.
Right. And so,
because people forget Jaden is in his mid-20s, but he played like a fucking veteran last year, so nobody cares.
Right. Yeah, the greatest rookie season we ever seen. He did what he did. Jaden did what a top 5 pick carrying a terrible
should
team.
Transform a franchise.
Right. A top 5 offense with not a really great supporting cast up in that point with a terrible defense and brought them to an NFC title game. That's what the Bears thought they were getting. That's what the Bears should have had. That's what these teams that draft these guys off of that type of talent. That's what and maybe that's a too big of a lofty expectation, but Jaden Daniels, that's it.
That's what they need to do. No, I'm kidding.
But anyway, Tyler Shough, do I see him as like a franchise starter? No. He can have a Kyle Orton type career, Ryan Fitzpatrick type, like stick in the league a long time. Because I see what the Saints saw in him. It just hasn't come together yet. Should it come together for a 7-year college guy? Probably. But hey, listen, we're in a different situation now. So maybe he just needs to sit and learn, and maybe he'll get it eventually. But yeah, I'd have to give him a D, just based on just probably the worst of the quarterbacks I've seen play out of all the ones we're talking about.
Yeah. If Riley Leonard and not even Riley Leonard, if Quinn Ewers was in the chat, we'd have a different conversation. But no, I'm right there with you when it comes down to the rank. Guys watching this, like, y'all know I'm a diehard. I'm just keeping it real about Tyler Shough. I agree with a good bit of what Jerm said. I do think he could be a starter in the league one day because, like, I trust Kellen Moore's intuition, right? Like, he is one of the top play callers in the NFL over the last few years. He just came off the most postseason points in NFL history, one of the most remarkable, arguably top 3 Super Bowl wins of all time as an offensive coordinator. So it's like, I'm going to have trust in the guy who's had results before, he became our head coach, rookie head coach, sure. But Kellen Moore he's not just some guy coming up off the couch. Like, we know what he's really got in his bag as a skill set. I like seeing Tyler Shough in the final game for the Saints, run the read option. And he is a confident runner. He's got some wheels. He did score a touchdown off that, like we mentioned earlier. But it just feels like Kellen, through Tyler's reps, because Shough played in all of the games, and then Rattler did too. It's like, I feel like the playbook was not necessarily opened up enough for Tyler Shough and the opportunities, because it was a good bit of short throws, slants, curls, screens, but it's like you also want him to be able to get a grip of the offensive playbook as well. He had a big throw to Trayton Welch, earlier in the preseason, and then he had another one down the sideline in this game. Mason Tipton, who's been all over the field for the Saints. Tyler Shough has had some connections to him too. Now he gives up that strip sack to the Broncos, which is very unfortunate. It really wasn't his fault, but you do have to be able to step up in the pocket and just, possess the protect the football better. And again, just like talking about Tyler Shough, he possesses all the traits that you really want out of a quarterback. Like, he ran the offense good. I won't say well. He was confident. I did see some decent arm strength. Like, he does have mobility. I think his progressions and reads could be a little better, but there was a couple times like he was looking from one side of the field to the other. And just to know that a quarterback can see a whole field within a play is such an underrated, or I feel like under talked about trait. Like, having pocket awareness and vision is super ideal. And it's not that I think Shough is elite or even great at any of those. He's good. And I think Kellen Moore, whatever opportunity Shough gets this year, because I don't really like him learning behind Spencer Rattler, but it's like, it is what it is, right? Like, we are the weakest quarterback room in the NFL, arguably. I'm going to give him floating between a C and a B. We got Jalen Milroe, who has been such a spectacle, in my opinion, in the NFL preseason. And just what he's been able to do with Seattle. I think if Sam Darnold fumbles the bag in the first few weeks, if I'm a fan, after what I've seen out of preseason, I'm calling for Milroe to get some first-team reps. What do you think of him, though? And, of course, the grade and the takeaways.
So I'm going to give him I had a hard time deciding between a B and a C. And here's the thing. Out of all the quarterbacks, I don't think he was the best, but he's easily the most exciting to watch. I don't think he was the best out of all of them, but I loved watching him. That elite athleticism was on full display. I mean, it was like Michael Vick-esque almost. Like it was just like
Yeah.
just to watch him maneuver and then you see the arm strength and making some of those highlight reel plays. But again, it, as common with a lot of rookies, reading defenses, consistency, stuff that can be worked on. Again, this is not a slight towards him. It's just, you know, try to put yourself in a position where I have to decide if this guy is going to be the guy. I think if I'm looking at, hey, consistency in reading defenses, that's something I can work with. Does he have everything else that I like? And Jalen Milroe checks all those boxes. So he needs to get better at the shorter throws because that's what's going to keep a job until he learns those other things. So I think because his short throw accuracy has been so bad, and I think that's kind of really important in today's NFL, I'll probably just stick with a C, even though I'm probably higher on him than anybody else in this list that you gave me.
Yeah, I really love what Jalen Milroe's brought to the table, man, and just what he's really put on tape in the preseason. Again, this is one of those instances where it's like Jalen Milroe perfectly is this right here. When you see the jump from the college to the NFL, and they're doing things in the league that they were not doing in college, that is a clear indicator that they understand the speed of the game and the concepts that they're already in. Because I'm starting to appreciate preseason more and more as we go on, and it's probably just me becoming a deeper fan of the game. But as a diehard of one of your teams, like you really get to see what's the depth on that 53. Like, forget the first 11, forget the first 22, maybe even the first 33. Like, what are we looking at with third, fourth, and fifth stringers, like emergency type guys or guys that can start making noise, in training camp? They come up like a Mason Tipton with the Saints, and it's just boom, they're able to earn a spot if a guy goes down, or maybe they're just out producing a guy that was ahead of them. And, I think Milroe has a really good opportunity to be in that situation. He did let the pocket collapse on him a few times in this preseason. He did take some bad sacks, give up a fumble for a scoop and score, and he did fumble on the tush push as well. But I really believe that Jalen Milroe could absolutely be the future of the Seattle Seahawks. And again, if Sam Darnold fumbles the bag the first few weeks, why you not gonna put Milroe in? Milroe looked pretty solid. You took him for a reason. I thought it was interesting for Seattle to take him, but when you look at JSN, when you look at Cooper Kupp, I very much wish that DK Metcalf was still there, but it is what it is, right? Like, how much of a trade-off do you want to really have between DK and Cooper Kupp? But you look at just some more tape. There was a 3rd and goal in the second quarter with about half the quarter to go, about 6.5 minutes, and he whips a throw in between 3 defenders underneath a 4th, kind of like an over-the-top safety. Receivers here, you got 3 defenders here, a little bit of a safety back there, and just fires it right in. And Jalen Milroe was a guy that was benched in college for his accuracy, for his decision making, by Nicholas Saban, the best guy to ever do it. And now he's in the NFL, able to deliver throws like that. So I'm loving what he is putting on tape. He showed off, the big arm, snappy arm quite a few times. I thought the Packers did a good job in the final preseason game of really controlling Jalen Milroe's dual threat ability. You definitely had to watch Jalen Milroe learn to operate a little more twitchy from the pocket and do his best to create within the pocket to his receivers before he tries to, break the script and really just, just really create, off script like we see quarterbacks in the NFL do, because it's such a great trait. And, him just being able to maneuver the pocket as well as he does, throwing on the run with ease, with accuracy, with confidence. I mean, he's got a zippy arm. Him and Dillon Gabriel have some of the most impressive arms of quarterbacks that were drafted later in this draft class. And I just think as we really start to understand these guys coming through the league, this could be a decent quarterback draft class. It really could. We haven't even talked about Jackson Dart yet, who is, in my opinion, the best looking rookie quarterback out of them all. Biased, most snaps, but he's, again, opportunities that he's given, he's performing. We've seen people build in good situations and not perform. We've seen first round quarterbacks. There are way more first round quarterbacks and first round player busts then there aren't. And I don't believe Jackson Dart's going to fall into that. But anywho, I'm going to give Jalen Milroe probably a B for this season. I want to lean A, but there were still some things that we know he's got to work out. But his athleticism, his processing is very attractive. And again, if Sam Darnold fumbles the bag, the 12s are going to be calling for Jalen Milroe to be under center. And again, I would not blame them. Last quarterback here, Jackson Dart. I've said so much about him in the preseason. I don't know if I doubted a quarterback more than Jackson Dart coming in. Like, I definitely have had other doubts about players, but then the way he's just able to prove me wrong in the worst way possible every single week. Giants need to start him. I've already said my case. They know what they got in Rush. Jameis is Jameis. The Giants need to start Jackson Dart. What are your thoughts, though, on how he looked in the preseason and kind of his final grade before we get into these rankings, Jerm?
Man, Jackson Dart is getting an A from me. He was solid the entire preseason, showing, like, out of all the quarterbacks, the best grasp of an offense that is actually, I know this coming is pretty complicated. Not saying that he ran it perfectly, but you could tell he had a pretty good grasp of understanding the offense and putting the ball.
Yep.
There was some consistency issues. Again, it's word of the day, but that's to be expected of these rookies playing. That's what the preseason's for.
Yep.
But I mean, I thought he showed really good touch on a lot of his passes. Like, there were some veteran type passes. That one pass against the Bills where he was pressured and got rocked in the face mask and just dropped. I can't remember the receiver. I don't think it was Malik Neighbors. It dropped a dime for a touchdown, and I said, "Wow, that was
not.
It was perfect, man." That I texted the group. Bert is a huge Giants fan. I texted him. I said, "Hey, y'all got one." The opposite of what I feel. The opposite of how I feel about Jalen Milroe, right? McDonald could, like, the Seahawks could ruin Jalen if they could Anthony Richardson him if they start him too soon. Jalen probably needs to sit for a year or two. But
Jalen was raw as hell coming in, and he's still looking better than Jalen Milroe has improved more in 3 weeks than Anthony Richardson has in 3 years.
Oh, no, for sure. But if they're not careful,
I get where you're going.
For sure. If they're not careful, though, it could be a situation if you put him in before he's ready, it could ruin him. I don't feel that way about Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart could start week 1 and he'd be pretty good. He's ready. The flashes, like the stuff, if you were worried about how he would translate from Ole Miss, that has to be put to bed. I mean, he showed flashes of everything. Again,
anything coming out of the SEC prepared him for these moments and all these reps he got in preseason.
If I'm the Bills and Josh Allen didn't exist and we needed a quarterback and I had to choose from one of these 6 guys, I'd probably choose Jackson Dart. So,
hindsight, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I've watched everybody play. If I could see it, I said, okay, Jackson Dart. I would be really happy if Jackson Dart was the quarterback for the Bills. So yeah, Jackson Dart gets an A from me.
Yeah, 100%. Jackson Dart gets an A from me as well. I've got plenty of clips on the channel anointing his preseason play, and Jerm just said it very well. The dude has such freaking swagger. Like, am I wrong on this, Jerm? Does he not look like he just belongs in that freaking giant blue with the NY on the helmet and number 6 Dart? Like, the last name Dart, like, does Jackson Dart already have like a top 3 aura in the NFL, bro? Seriously.
I mean, so obviously Colt McCoy is the greatest quarterback.
Jameis the dubs, bro.
Right. Colt McCoy is the greatest quarterback name. Like, if you had, like, that's like the quintessential quarterback name. Colt, it doesn't get better than that. Jackson Dart as a quarterback, your last name is Dart. It's got to be in the
X first name
with an X on top of it. It has to be top 3. It's got to be up there. I mean, it could write itself. Like, the Giants they could have a franchise. It could be, Eli Manning and Jackson Dart up there on the Mount Rushmore of Giants quarterbacks with Phil Simms in them. So, like, it's,
oh goodness,
I like Jackson Dart. He's, like you said, it's the aura. It takes a special person to make it in New York, right?
It does.
Mm-hmm. Zach Wilson couldn't do it with the Jets. He just didn't have that personality. Jackson Dart has that personality to survive. Eli Manning, when you look, now that you know him now, he probably fit really well in New York. You didn't see that when he was playing, but, like, he's also an outlier, right? Like, but Jackson Dart has, not only can he play, he has the swag to fit into a New York market, and how he will handle the criticism, because he obviously won't be awesome all the time. That'll be his next real big test. But as far as tests go, he's pass with flying colors to be.
Yes, 100%. Could not agree more. All right, let's rank them, brother. We got obviously all 6 that we talked about: Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Dillon Gabriel, Tyler Shough, Jalen Milroe, Shedeur Sanders. Give me your 6 to 1. If you want to give me a little one-liner, you can, or if you just want to hit them quick, totally up to you.
Man, so it was hard to rank them. I kind of have a top 3, bottom 3. They're all kind of interchangeable. My
That's
bottom
fair.
3 is Shedeur, Gabriel, and Shough, just off the strength, right? Like Shedeur's probably, if I had to do it, then Shedeur's 4, and then you could do Gabriel and Shough probably in that order. And then I have Dart, Ward, and Milroe right in that top 3, probably in that order. Dart, I just sang his praises. I think he just looked better. Ward,
Yeah.
he is probably better. It's just
He is.
However, if I'm basing it on what I've seen in this preseason, I've been more impressed with Jackson Dart. I don't think that's Cam Ward's fault.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Cam Ward took like
that
50 snaps this preseason,
right, and they kept they kept it basic, which I'm a believer in. You have to, if you can't do the basics, then there's no need to have you out there. So they asked him to just be plain vanilla. Let me see if you can do the basics. And he did that. He's perfectly fine. And yes, he is a better quarterback. But if I'm ranking them on their preseason performance, Jackson Dart is clearly number 1.
Oh, no. My little helmet just fell. Dang. At least this, we'll pick it up in a second.
Yeah. At least that one didn't fall.
I about crashed out putting them helmets up when we was telling the studio. This is the second time I've hit them within the last 2 shows. Got to be careful leaning back. So I like your top 3, bottom 3. I'm gonna go 6 to 1. Controversially, at number 6, I have Shedeur Sanders. I just believe with the system that he's in, with this last game he just played in, I feel like that is going to very negatively get used against him. And I just think like him and Dillon Gabriel were kind of a wash in the preseason. If you talk about good versus bad, how much playing time they each had, like I thought Dillon Gabriel looked damn good. So number 6, I've got Shedeur Sanders. Number 5, my boy Tyler Shough with the New Orleans Saints. I think Shough again can be a solid quarterback when we're talking about the 4 that are above him here, which is clearly the mix of the 4 that I haven't named. It's like he's just not as good as those guys. He is not as talented as those guys, and he can very well be a maybe Brock Purdy-esque, Matthew Stafford light, but not as talented, nice arm, can be mobile, make good reads, but like, can you get to that next level of, Matthew Stafford with LA or, Baker Mayfield with the Bucks? Like, I think that's around Tyler Shough's potential ceiling, but we'll just have to wait and really see it. Number 4, I've got Jalen Milroe. Very, very impressive. I, again, believe he is the future of the Seattle Seahawks if Sam Darnold fumbles the bag sooner or even later. I think we both know, and people on the panel realize that, like, Jalen Milroe is the future of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, will Sam Darnold, how long is Sam Darnold going to be that one? We will wait and see. Number 3, I've got Dillon Gabriel. I believe he will have more opportunities than Shedeur this year. I believe Gabriel is a better passer of the football, a better processor of the offense than Jalen Milroe is. And Dillon Gabriel can even run, right? Like he's got some wheels. He can throw on the run, really create. So I think he is clearly not as athletic or quick as Jalen Milroe, but he can create. And if it's what you need, then take it, right? Number 2, I've got Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick in this draft. Again, he did not get a lot of action, but when he did, he was consistently good. He kept the boring stuff. He was Bruce Wayne. He was not Batman. And that's what you want out of a rookie quarterback. You don't want him putting himself in harm's way. I really didn't think Cam Ward made any kind of bad plays this season, right? Like in the 3rd preseason game, he did take a couple of rough sacks, but again, he was still getting his kind of first NFL reps in. He didn't get a whole lot in the preseason. And then in number 1, Jackson Dart, clearly for all of the reasons that we just named. We want to hear you guys down in the comments. Let us know, how would you rank these quarterbacks based on their preseason? And honestly, with this ranking here, if you just switch Ward and Dart, I kind of believe this is how it's going to shake out. Like Shedeur will have the 6th best, Shough will have the 5th best, Milroe will have the 4th best, Gabriel at 3, probably Dart at 2 or Ward at 1. And if it's Dart 1, Ward 2, like I think with what we've talked about, Jerm, and what we've seen, nobody is really shocked. Trey Hendrickson's holdout is officially over. He's back on a 1-year, $30 million reworked deal. And Cincinnati just bought themselves arguably the league's best short-term edge rusher. Reports say he was offered a 3-year, $95 million deal, but there was 0 guaranteed money in year 2. And that's what I'm starting to realize, Jerm. these players are getting smarter. These agents are getting smarter and realizing that when you have incentive-laden stuff, that really can't be controlled by the player if it's amount of production, because they might pull you early if it's a blowout, or they just might pull you on a package here and a package there, and then you're not able to fulfill your snaps. These guys need guaranteed money. Trey Hendrickson wants to turn to his wife and children and say, hey, we're in Philadelphia for the next 4 or 5 years. If the Eagles sign Trey Hendrickson, I will not be an NFL fan anymore. But he's wanting to have that type of stability within his life. Does this mean that Trey Hendrickson is gone next year with just a 1 year, $30 million deal in Cincinnati?
I think it just buys them time, right? So, like, this thing dragged out. Honestly, I thought it would be like another Bengal, Carson Palmer, who was going through his contract deal, and he just said, yeah, I'm not doing that, and just left. You know what I mean? So I thought it was going to be something similar. This is a weird one, because to me, they both kind of settled. It's a win-win in a sense of Hendrickson got that large jump in money. I know he was right. I think he was looking for that. I think he was looking for that $40 million. He got 30. The Bengals don't do guaranteed money. Like, they're not, for a 31-year-old. They would go against what they do for business, and I get it, but this is also the cost of what I tell you about paying skill players. Like, they don't have the money to play around, and this is what happens when you go ahead and give money to skill players. I get it, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, but Trey Hendrickson is pretty important to your team. And so the interesting thing will be what happens after this year, because if the Bengals decide to franchise, the franchise tag will equal out to a little bit less than what they're giving him in guarantees. And I don't think it's ever happened before.
That would be some bullshit if they franchise tag Trey Hendrickson.
And they should. Like, if I'm, it's smart.
It's such a germs, and they should.
Well, they should. Because, I mean, if anything, he didn't have any leverage, and the fact that he, like, fine, sit out, like, that's
with
cool.
What they were asking for in the package, hell no leverage. Right. And clearly, nobody made a call for that.
So the fact that he was able to get what he got is he should be grateful. And if I'm the Bengals, I would 100% franchise it. I'd franchise tag him now, just even without the contract, because it's less than what he just to say, hey, we run the team, buddy, not you. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do. Does it mean that he's gone? It's the NFL, man. I don't know. Like these deals. Terry McLaurin was about to leave, and we're going to talk about him in a second. He was all but gone from Washington, and all of a sudden he signs a huge deal. So it's hard for me to say this year. Is he gone after this year? I don't know, because a lot of things can change. I get the players wanting guaranteed money, because if they get hurt, their incentives don't kick in. They're trying to protect themselves. But I also get why franchises don't want to give out guaranteed dollars, because if Trey Hendrickson gets hurt, they're out $30 million. And it's like there has to be a give and take. I think this deal was a little bit of that. It's probably the best case scenario for both sides right now.
I agree with you.
But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after the season, though.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a definite that Trey Hendrickson is gone next year, right? Like, it's literally a 1 year rework, gives him about a $14 million pay raise. He was going to make about $16 million this year in the league. Now he's going to be an unrestricted free agent after the 2025 season. So I don't believe that they can. I don't think you can franchise tag an unrestricted free agent, can you?
No.
Yeah, so he's going to be on the market next year. You know what I mean? Like, if the Bengals are ass this season, Trey Hendrickson will probably be on the trade block, because, well, maybe, right? Because it's like they're going to be paying him that, but like if they know, like if they're eliminated from playoff contention by week 10 or 11, which I don't really do or don't like know if that'll happen, they're already going to be thinking, okay, one of our biggest moves in the offseason is Trey Hendrickson, because he was on a onesie, versus Burrow's locked up, Jamar's locked up, T. Higgins is locked up. So it's going to be interesting, because it's like, and I'll mention this really explicitly in a second, but it's like Cincinnati has a second chance. They have a second chance to offer him the bag, to keep a top 3 player on a team. I think he's better than T. Higgins. I think he provides more value than T. Higgins, because he's getting after the quarterback. Obviously, Burrow's 1, Jamar 2. You can even argue that Trey Hendrickson's number 2. You know what I mean? Like, he has had an immaculate career since coming from New Orleans. Go ahead.
I had to look it up, because technically he signed this 1 year deal. It wasn't for this season. It was for next season. So technically they can franchise tag him, because he also has a no tag clause. So it doesn't have one where they can't. So they technically can franchise tag him next season for the following season. So that
Right.
will be very interesting if that happens. He'll
It
be
will be.
30, he'll be 31, 32 at that time. So
Yeah.
it'll be for less money than what the tag was. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Right. It'll be interesting. This will be like when people were talking about Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson in the head coaching hire. Trey Hendrickson will be the biggest, if he performs this year, he will be the biggest free agent topic discussion from the moment the Super Bowl ends until the moment he gets signed in the offseason, whether it's with Cincinnati, whoever it may be, God willing, right? But this 1-year deal doesn't really lock him in beyond this season. Again, like we know is for this coming season. And after that, we're just gonna have to wait in and really see what happened. And you kind of already mentioned it, the next question in terms of like who won this, Cincinnati or Trey Hendrickson. And really both sides won for now, at least for the short term. Hendrickson gets to play. He's got more tape to put out, really increase his stock next year. He's getting $30 million in the bag. He's at least got some continuity staying there. The Bengals, as much as they don't freaking deserve it, lock up, the leading sack leader of the last 2 seasons in the NFL. And if he's not leading in sacks over the last few years, it's literally TJ Watt or literally Myles Garrett. Great company to be in, right? So, like the Bengals get to keep that. And as much as they have like mismanaged the Jamar deal and, just waiting just time after time and then naming an insane trade price, like it's given me such. I swear sometimes, Jerm, I get confused. Like, are we talking about the Cleveland Browns front office or are we talking about the Cincinnati Bengals front office? They're both equally bad at times, especially, Cleveland. I'll give a little more of a effort to, to Cincinnati, but it's like they get another opportunity to right their wrongs. And Trey gets the money he wants this season. You could say, technically that the Bengals are the only winners because they ended the hold in. They got their all pro. They got him back on the field. They avoided losing him. They avoided him going into, they avoided him going like potentially into the division, which I believe after Saquon Barkley going to Philadelphia, that will never happen again in NFL history. Like unless it's a 4-year-old as GM like that, I don't think we will ever see a superstar go in the division again. And you can thank Shine and the front office in New York. But like Cincinnati literally gets an opportunity to get Trey Hendrickson back. Like they get an opportunity to make it right yet again after the way they've mismanaged Joe Burrow and got him O-line help, and then it's faded away. After the way that they waited to pay Jamar Chase, after the way that they waited to pay T. Higgins, after the way that they waited to pay Trey Hendrickson, and then they still get a chance to bring him back yet again. If I'm Trey Hendrickson, Trey Hendrickson seems like a really great guy. Like I follow him on social. He's pretty to himself. He'll post, pictures of him working out on the field, like Bible verses, very much a Christian man. But I don't know if Trey Hendrickson actually still wants to be in Cincinnati, like kind of just relating to his personality. And it's not because of the city, but it's like, I think he'd be okay being there because of the guy that he is, but he would prefer a different situation. And Cincinnati's just going to, have that on their hands at the end of the day. Again, it's like a tactical truce, right? Like Hendrickson cashes in short term, provides his value on, a nice payday. The Bengals aren't paying a Myles Garrett type contract. And again, their guy gets to be kept on the team. But it'll be interesting again for the contract, the extension, free agency, because you got to think the next team that gets him, like not only you will know they'll kind of his market's going to be super hot next year because there won't be any draft capital hopefully involved. So it's like you just got to throw in the bag, right? Like the highest bidder wins type of thing. So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. Y'all get in the comments and let us know, is Trey Hendrickson for sure done in Cincinnati? And who do you think the winner of, the two is? And kind of just sticking with the winner topic before we get to Terry. The winner long term, I believe, is Trey Hendrickson, because if the Bengals lose Hendrickson, like they haven't had a defensive player or a pass rusher really that effective since like Jesse Bates in recent memory, who went to be an Atlanta Falcon. And if Trey Hendrickson leaves the building, you're going to have a very pissed off fan base because you're already talking about a very poor defensive unit. The Commanders and Terry McLaurin agreed to a 3-year, $96 million extension, obviously incentive-laden. Within the contract, it ends the hold-in and locks Washington's, one of their top offensive weapons into the lineup through 2028. So he actually gets an extension on top of the 1 year that was already left within his deal. He gets paid, the team gets stability, and now it's just really on Jayden Daniels, the coaching staff, and the offense to really turn that security of Terry McLaurin into more wins. What's your take on this, man? Do you think this had to happen for Washington to have the same type of success as they did last year, even though there's a lot of tape out on Jayden Daniels? Did they overpay for a wide receiver around this age? What do you think?
So I hate to sound like another cop-out, but this is also a huge win-win for the Commanders based on where they were last year.
Oh,
and here's a couple reasons or a couple things that stood out to me about it. Like that $32 million a year to me is a pretty fair compromise to Terry McLaurin's talent. Like it's not like he's getting paid like Jamar Chase or Garrett Wilson got a huge contract, who I don't think actually earned it, but it puts him in line with like the AJ Browns. And again, considering the division he's in, you need that real threat. I don't think Pillsbury Debo is going to get it done for Washington by himself.
He's catching so many strays this offseason, bro.
You have CeeDee Lamb in Dallas, right? You have AJ Brown and Devonta Smith in Philly. You have Malik Neighbors in New York. You need somebody to kind of keep up offensively for your young quarterback. It's critical, honestly, for Jayden Daniels' development. We talk about, Josh Allen. He needs a number one wide receiver, or at the time he needed one. Like these good, no matter how good you are, you need somebody fairly reliable. And especially if you're trying to avoid a sophomore slump or at least continue on the same trajectory you've been on, losing your best player offensively in terms of weapons is not a good idea. On top of the fact, Adam, that I think this is honestly a really good deal. I know the numbers on paper look crazy for his age, but if you take a look at the wide receiver market
season with a rookie quarterback,
I mean, how many 1,000-yard seasons has he had in a row with a bunch of the Taylor Heineke's of the world? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm about to give you a list of the garbage he put up with and was still able to be a 1,000-yard receiver 4 years in a row. Then finally broke through with double-digit touchdowns, almost tripling his workload once Jayden Daniels got to town.
I don't know if he's universally considered a top 5 wide receiver, but he's somewhere in that class picture. But I think in a year or two, this is just going to be one of those deals that looks like a bargain. So, like that's why I don't call it an over. It looks like an overpay today, but if you really look at how it's structured and you really look at it, and on top of that, there's also intangible stuff that you need, and that's all tangible stuff. The intangibles are, like you said, and you're going to give us the list in a minute, but he's had to just deal with bullshit in Washington for the last several years. And he's a leader, he's a presence, he's a constant force in that franchise. So, and he's just beloved in the city. Like it would have been a really bad day if they let Terry McLaurin out the door. And now they've secured not only his future, but where the Commanders are going to be considered in the AFC's arms race. They're not going to fall off, right? They're not going to fall back down to where the Giants are. They're going to be up there with the Eagles now, and we'll see what Dak Prescott and the Cowboys look like with Dak Prescott healthy. But, right as it stands today, it's the Eagles and the Commanders. Like, who's going to win the NFC East? And it's because you're keeping a guy like Terry McLaurin around. So I love it, man.
Absolutely. The Washington Commanders had no chance of winning the Super Bowl or even going as far as they did in the playoffs last year if they did not bring back Terry McLaurin. And it was absolutely worth it. I mean, if you are looking to replicate that type of year, Terry was a must. Pay the man while you have Jayden Daniels on the rookie deal, because when Jayden Daniels' time comes, the brother's going to command $50 million plus. Because he's still got about 2-3 years before that paycheck comes, and they're going to have to crack open the book, and Magic Johnson going to have to get with it. Like, we understand that Jayden Daniels is going to have a large payday, but he could go down as the highest paid quarterback in NFL history if he continues to repeat what he had in his rookie season. And when you look at Terry McLaurin, year over year over year, 2021 through 2024, 17 games played in every season, 70 plus catches in every season, 1,000+ yards in every season. And then finally, Jayden Daniels gets to town and he goes from 4 touchdowns to 13 touchdowns, only getting 94 more yards on 3 more receptions compared to the prior year when he did not have Jayden Daniels. And when you go and look at what Terry McLaurin has put up with in his career before Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn, who I was not a believer in because of his recent days when he coached with Atlanta. Before Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn got to town, Terry McLaurin was dealing with Case Keenum in 2019. God rest his soul, Dwayne Haskins in 2019 and 2020. Your boy Colt McCoy with the best quarterback name ever between 2019 and 2020. Spot starts, some relief. Alex Smith, Kyle Allen in 2020, Taylor Heineke in 2021. Who the hell is Garrett Gilbert? It was a one-off appearance there he was throwing to Terry McLaurin. Ryan Fitzpatrick in some spot starts. You had Carson Wentz, God forbid, in 2022. You remember Sam Howell in 2023, and then Jaden Daniels comes in, the new full-time starter. So, like, the fact that Terry was able to replicate time and time again with such bad quarterback play, Terry McLaurin could be in for a 1,400-yard, 16-touchdown season. Like, I believe Jaden Daniels is going to take a step back. I think if anyone is prone to a sophomore slump this season, I think Jaden Daniels has it the most because, like, it's like the only way you can top that is winning the NFC Championship. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, you can go and lose a Super Bowl, but if you reach the Super Bowl, you have kind of surpassed, at least franchise goal-wise, fan base is going to believe it more, even if Jaden Daniels didn't have as good of a career. And it's like, the fact that Terry was able to stick it out until really the core got there, it's phenomenal, man. It really is. So, like, no matter which way you slice it, you could say 10 to 13 quarterbacks, are really, was really who, Terry McLaurin was dealing with. And Jerm, this was in the Jay Gruden era. This was in the Ron Rivera era. Now, thankfully, he had Eric Bieniemy, he had Cliff Kingsbury, he had Kevin O'Connell as his offensive coordinators, but it's like, Terry stuck it out, bro. That man deserved every penny. Like, if you want to talk about loyalty being rewarded, give it up for Terry.
Yeah.
Absolutely give it up for Terry, man. So I appreciate you jumping in, man, on episode 110. It was great to have you in, as always. Before we get out of here, please tell the folks how they can find you and just how we can always best support you in your podcasting ventures, bro.
Yeah, appreciate you. Please check us out, www.giveusashot.network. Please follow us on YouTube at Give Us a Shot Network. You can find me at Stuff About Sports, one of the podcasts on the Mighty Network, at Stuff About Sports on Instagram. So head over to the YouTube, like, share, subscribe. If you can't do any one of those things, I am inclined to believe you are indeed a hater. So please don't be a hater. Just try it. Just help me out.
That was good. That was really good. I appreciate you jumping on, man. We'll have you on within the next few weeks. And as always, we appreciate you, bro. And anytime you need me on, it's one of my favorite shows to be on, man. I'm there.
Oh, yeah, brother.
All right, man. Keep it easy. We'll see you. All right, y'all. We are jumping into the final couple of topics here on the NFL with AJL episode 110. Again, y'all make sure to like and share the show wherever you're watching. Please subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell. Also, please make sure that you hit the link tree in the description for every bit of our social media and podcast content at NFL with AJL on all social platforms. I appreciate the love y'all been showing us on social media. Let's get into some Heisman predictions for the 2025 college football season, because Heisman season is here. Arch Manning is the favorite, and the country is literally watching every single throw. But if Garrett Nussmeier goes nuclear, or if Jeremiah Smith out of Ohio State just turns every game into a highlight reel, you can potentially forget Arch Manning winning the Heisman in 2025. But at number one, I am going to give you Arch Manning as my top Heisman candidate for the 2025 season. Now, Arch has a lot to prove, right? Like, this is really maybe unwarranted hype strictly because of the last name that he has. But when Arch was on the field for Texas last year, I thought that he did have some good outings. I thought that he did show that he was the future of that team. Quinn Ewers was clearly not it. Like, Steve Sarkisian knows that Arch Manning is his guy, and he's going to have the ultimate test starting out this college football season. He's going to be on the road at Ohio State facing the Buckeyes, who are the reigning national champions. So we are going to see really fast, and the country is going to want to know really quick what Arch Manning is capable of. I believe he's going to be able to live up to the hype, but we'll see as things roll out. Sorry, y'all had to adjust my fan. Getting a little warm in here when the takes get hot. You know what I'm saying? At number 2, give me Jeremiah Smith, the absolute monster wide receiver. He will undoubtedly be the best wide receiver in college football coming into the season. Jeremiah Smith was absolutely crazy at Ohio State. The fact that you get to see him again this year, I believe we are looking into a potential Devontae Smith type of season. I'm not saying it's going to be an exact replication, but if Jeremiah Smith comes in and wins the Heisman and is able to compete with what Devontae Smith did at Alabama, you simply can't deny it, because it will be immaculate to see Ryan Day be able to engineer a Heisman contender after winning the national championship, because the quarterback question still has to be answered as well. But I believe Jeremiah Smith will make whoever at quarterback better, because that's the type of receiver that he is. And then Garrett Nussmeier at number 3, probably the most consistent quarterback in this class, next to a Cade Klubnik, next to a Lenora Sellers, who I believe still has some more things to prove. Obviously, Nico Iamaleava, Carson Beck as well. But I believe Garrett Nussmeier has the best chance next to Arch Manning as a quarterback in the college football 2025 season to win the Heisman. We know that Brian Kelly is still trying to improve things over at LSU. Obviously, you had Malik Neighbors and Bryce Thomas Jr. get out of LSU a few years ago. So you're waiting for that next big receiver. And we know that there's plenty of talent there for Garrett Nussmeier. But if he can get another one of those types of guys really with him, so we can see how he can just perform at a very high level, I think Garrett Nussmeier has a great opportunity at winning the Heisman in 2025. And that's really only the 3 candidates that I can confidently say. I've seen the Cade Klubnik odds and I've seen the Lenora Seller odds, but if it's not Arch, Jeremiah Smith, or Garrett Nussmeier, I believe Ryan Williams out of Alabama could potentially make a case for that as well. So 2 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers. I think it's going to be amazing to watch, and I'd love to hear from y'all in the comments, the college football fans. Who do you have as your Heisman favorites? Rank them for me for the 2025 college football season. Kellen Moore just picked Spencer Rattler as QB1 for the New Orleans Saints, and he wanted steadiness, and Rattler delivered that in camp, in preseason, and now he has earned the QB1 job. Now, we have to see whether the consistency turns into wins, but Kellen Moore is one of the top offensive play callers in the league right now. He just came from Philadelphia winning the Super Bowl, as we know. The most points scored in a postseason. Kellen Moore has consistently had a top 10 offense, even with the injured quarterbacks between the Cowboys and the Charger days. You take those out, he's got a top 5-6 offense in the NFL. This guy picked the quarterback in Tyler Shough, so I trusted that. He developed Shough, or he, went through the situation with Shough and Rattler in camp. Thankfully, Jake Haener is gone, and now this guy in Spencer Rattler has buy-in from the head coach in Kellen Moore. I trust when Kellen Moore's bringing to the table. He's the youngest NFL head coach ever. He's an amazing play caller. We did want to see some more of that in the preseason for sure, but I'm going to trust my coach here. And I personally think that Spencer Rattler, the offense looked better, more creative, had more swagger with Spencer Rattler taking snaps as the quarterback. And that's not to down Tyler Shough, but Spencer Rattler, I believe, just looks more comfortable. I think the way he's able to create better than Tyler Shough does. And again, I'm going to trust my coach. I am bought in on Kellen Moore. I could not have been happier when the Saints actually made him when the Saints actually made him head coach. Spencer Rattler had practice squad, 4th stringers, 5th stringers, literally off the street guys to work with in his rookie year. We just watched Kellen Moore help Jalen Hurts become a higher level of a quarterback when previously being worked with Brian Johnson and Shane Steichen. We saw how he was able to engineer an offensive game plan for Saquon Barkley to be an amazing running back in the NFL. And we, the fans, saw a flash of potential in a position that we have absolutely despised since Drew Brees has retired as a Saint. So let's give some buy-in to Spencer Rattler here, right? Let's trust the coach. Let's trust what Kellen Moore is seeing in the conversations, in training camp, not just what we're watching on the highlights. And maybe I can't talk because I get on here and give you guys a show. But I try to keep it real when we talk about the Saints. And with Kellen Moore picking Spencer Rattler as QB1, I am there for it. I believe Rattler had a slight edge, more confidence. I just believe he's a little quicker with decision making, and he has the most experience, not really saying much, out of the quarterback room. But none of our quarterbacks have NFL wins. So which way were you going to go? I can understand the point of, okay, well, it was close between Shough and Rattler, so why not just put Shough out there? We just had a conversation earlier on the show about Anthony Richardson needing to sit and how we've seen great quarterbacks in today's game, how they've sat. I'm not saying Tyler Shough is that, but I trust more putting Shough behind Rattler. I'm not a fan of him mentoring off or becoming a mentee of Spencer Rattler, because Spencer Rattler is really still a rookie, right? Like, yeah, he's a second year on paper, but he did not have that much experience in the first year. At least it's somebody and not just a Joe Schmo off the street or another rookie that he's trying to learn from when you have a Shedeur, a Dillon Gabriel, and then the oldie goldie and Joe Flacco. But if this means that Kellen Moore understands that Shough is not ready yet, he's going to sit back, he's going to develop. I trust my head coach. It's really just as simple as that. But this doesn't end the quarterback story, right? Like, it just really starts it, because if Rattler plays clean, then Kellen Moore really wins the season's like first coaching test. His first test was, who are you going to hire for your coaching staff? And then the test was, who's going to be the quarterback? And then the test was, who's the QB1? Now the first real regular season coaching test for Kellen Moore will be the performance in the evaluation of Spencer Rattler in week 1 and as we get through the season. And if not, then the quarterback question returns fast. We get to see Tyler Shough, and maybe we understand really quick if Tyler Shough was the correct pick. But that's the cut for episode 110. If you loved a take or if you hated one, hit us up on social media, comment, share, roast us. We absolutely read everything. Before you guys head out of here, if you please make sure you're locked in with the crew, smash that like button and share the stream wherever you may be watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell so you never miss a post. The link tree in the description is every bit of social media and podcast content at the NFL with AJL. I promise you, if you can't find us, you're simply not looking hard enough. And before we get out of here, I want to pray for y'all watching. Let's bow our heads and thank the Lord. Heavenly Father, thank you for the great show that we've had today for episode 110. Thank you for the fans that have tuned in to really just be able to see the plan that you've allowed me to give to the community. And I pray that anyone watching the show, if they need to find you, Lord, if they need to come to know you better in their life, please just put your hand over them. Let them experience the Holy Spirit, whatever they might be needing, whatever they might be wanting. Let it be within your light, Lord. Follow it within your path. Thank you for the show. Always be with everyone's families and friends and loved ones. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Appreciate y'all sticking with me through that. Thank y'all for chopping it up. Same energy, more heat, real takes you probably won't find anywhere else. Love y'all, need y'all. See ya in episode 111.